You know, there's a moment that happens to all of us as we get a little older, a quiet little thought that whispers, maybe it's too late to try something new. Maybe you felt it too. You wake up one morning and the house feels a little too quiet, the day's a little too long, and you start wondering, what's next for me? Well, I'm here to tell you, it's never too late. In fact, some of the most vibrant, fulfilling years of your life could be just around the corner. And one of the easiest, most joyful ways to unlock that next chapter? Joining a club. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Clubs? At my age? But hear me out. Whether it's reconnecting with an old passion, discovering a hidden talent, or simply sharing laughs with like-minded folks, joining the right group can breathe new energy into your days. It's not just about filling time, it's about adding life to your years. So today, let's talk about 3 types of clubs that could change everything for you after 70. We'll start with one that's close to my heart, because it's not just fun, it's good for your mind, body, and soul. The first group to try, a walking or light exercise club. Remember how good it felt to move when you were younger? That feeling hasn't gone away. It's just waiting for you to rediscover it. A walking club or a gentle exercise group isn't about running marathons or lifting weights. It's about moving at your pace, enjoying the fresh air, and sharing the journey with others. Picture this. You meet up with a small group at the local park every Tuesday morning. The path is flat and easy, the conversation flows, and before you know it, you've walked a mile or two without even noticing. Someone cracks a joke, another shares a story about their grandkids, and suddenly you're not just exercising, you're connecting. And here's the magic. It's not just your legs getting stronger. Studies show that regular, gentle movement like walking can boost your mood, sharpen your mind, and even help you sleep better at night. Plus, when you commit to showing up for others, you're also showing up for yourself. Now, if the idea of a walking club doesn't light you up, don't worry. There are plenty of other options. Water aerobics, Tai Chi, even dance classes tailored for seniors. The key is to find something that feels like fun, not a chore. Because when it's enjoyable, you'll stick with it. And when you stick with it, that's when the real magic happens. The second group, a book club or lifelong learning circle. Let's talk about your mind for a moment. Just like your body, it thrives when it's active and engaged. And one of the best ways to keep those mental gears turning? A book club or discussion group. Now I can already hear some of you saying, "Oh, I haven't picked up a book in years." But here's the beautiful thing. It doesn't matter. A good book club isn't about impressing anyone with how much you've read. It's about sharing ideas, hearing different perspectives, and maybe even rediscovering the joy of a great story. Imagine this. You're sitting in a cozy room with a handful of others, sipping tea and talking about a book that took you to another time or place. Someone brings up a character that reminded them of their younger days, and suddenly, the conversation takes a turn down memory lane. Laughter, debate, maybe even a few tears. It's all part of the richness. And if books aren't your thing, consider a lifelong learning group. Many community centers and libraries offer classes on everything from history to gardening to technology. Ever wanted to learn how to use a tablet to video call your grandkids? There's a group for that. Curious about painting or photography? There's a group for that too. The point is, your brain is hungry for new experiences, no matter your age. And when you feed it, you'll be amazed at how much brighter, sharper, and more alive you feel. Now we've covered 2 wonderful options so far, movement for the body and stimulation for the mind. But there's one more type of club I want to tell you about, and this one? It's all about the heart. You know, there's something truly special about walking into a room and feeling like you belong. Maybe it's the way someone remembers your name, asks about your week, or simply smiles when you walk in. That feeling of being seen, valued, and part of something is something we all crave no matter our age. And yet, as the years go by, those opportunities can sometimes feel harder to find. That's why the third group I want to share with you today isn't just about doing something. It's about feeling something. It's about rekindling joy, sparking creativity, and surrounding yourself with people who remind you how much life still has to offer. The third group to try, a hobby or craft club. Think back to a time when you lost track of hours because you were so absorbed in something you loved. Maybe it was knitting, woodworking, painting, or even gardening. There's a reason those moments stayed with you. They weren't just passing time. They were filling your soul. A hobby club is your invitation to rediscover that feeling, whether it's a weekly quilting circle, a model train enthusiasts group, or a pottery class at the local senior center. These gatherings are about so much more than the craft itself. They're about the laughter that comes when someone's project goes hilariously wrong, the quiet pride of creating something with your own hands, and the comfort of being around people who get it. Take Margaret, for example. She joined a knitting club at 75 after her husband passed, thinking it would just be a way to keep her hands busy. But what she found was a room full of women who'd been through their own losses, triumphs, and everything in between. They didn't just knit scarves. They stitched together a new chapter of friendship and purpose. And here's the thing. You don't have to be good at something to join. These groups are full of beginners, experts, and everyone in between. What matters is the joy of trying, the thrill of learning, and the connections you'll make along the way. Why these groups work, the science behind the magic. Now you might be wondering, why does this matter so much? Can a club really change my life? Well, let's talk about what's happening beneath the surface. First, there's the social piece. Studies show that strong social connections in our later years can be just as vital to our health as diet and exercise. Loneliness, on the other hand, can take a real toll, not just on our mood, but on our physical well-being. When you're part of a group, you're giving yourself a regular dose of companionship, laughter, and even a sense of accountability, because people will notice if you're not there. Then there's the mental boost. Learning new skills, whether it's a dance step, a baking technique, or how to play mahjong, keeps your brain nimble. It's like giving your mind a playful workout. And the best part? You won't even realize you're doing it because you'll be having too much fun. Finally, there's the emotional lift. When you're engaged in something meaningful, whether it's creating art, discussing books, or tending a community garden, you're reminding yourself that your story isn't over. You're still growing, still contributing, still mattering. But what if you're hesitant? I know some of you might be thinking, that sounds nice, but maybe you're worried about fitting in or feeling out of place or not having the energy. And those feelings are completely valid. But here's what I've learned from talking to hundreds of people who've taken this leap. The hardest part is walking in the door the first time. After that, it gets easier. And soon, you might just find yourself looking forward to it like a favorite weekly treat. So if you're feeling a little unsure, start small. Bring a friend along the first time, or choose a group that meets in a comfortable setting like a library or community center. Remember, everyone else there was once the new person too, and chances are they'll be thrilled to welcome you. Now, we've covered 3 incredible types of clubs so far: movement for the body, stimulation for the mind, and creativity for the soul. But there's one more layer to this, something that ties it all together in a way that can truly transform your days. You know, when we talk about joining a club later in life, it's easy to think of it as just another activity, something to fill the hours between breakfast and bedtime. But the truth, it's so much bigger than that. What we're really talking about is redefining what it means to grow older. Think about it. For decades, your life was shaped by routines: work, raising a family, caring for others. But now, this is your time. And the clubs we've talked about, walking groups, book clubs, hobby circles, they're not just pastimes. They're doorways to a life where every week holds something to look forward to, where strangers become friends, and where you get to keep discovering new versions of yourself. The hidden gift: how clubs create ripples in your life. Let me tell you about my friend Robert. At 72, he'd spent 2 years mostly watching TV alone after losing his wife. Then his daughter signed him up, yes, practically dragged him, to a men's coffee club at the local senior center. That first morning, he barely said a word, but by the third week, he was the one organizing a monthly fishing trip for the group. Here's what changed. Mornings had purpose again. The group met at 9 a.m. every Wednesday, no more staying in pajamas till noon. His laugh came back. Turns out retired mechanics and school teachers tell great stories. He became someone others relied on. When Jim had hip surgery, Robert was the one who organized meal deliveries. This is the magic no one tells you about. When you join the right group, the benefits don't stay neatly contained in that one weekly hour. They spill over into everything. You sleep better because you moved your body. You think sharper because you've been swapping ideas. You feel lighter because you spent an afternoon painting with people who didn't care that your trees looked more like lollipops. Breaking down the barriers. Now I can practically hear some of you thinking, I'm not the club type. What if I don't like it? At my age, making new friends seems, let's tackle these one by one. 1, I've never been a joiner. Here's a secret. Neither was Helen, until she tried a memoir writing class. Now at 78, she's published 3 volumes of stories for her grandkids, all because the group gave her the nudge she needed. You don't have to be outgoing to benefit. Many groups thrive on quiet camaraderie. 2, what if it's not for me? That's the beauty. You can sample. Most places let you visit once before committing. Hate water aerobics? Try a bird-watching group instead. Book clubs not your speed? Maybe a cooking demo club would spark joy. 3, making friends at this stage feels awkward. Remember, every deep friendship started as an awkward first meeting. The difference now? You've got decades of life experience to bond over. That woman struggling with her knitting needles? She might have been a CEO. The man humming off-key in the community choir could be a Vietnam vet with stories that'll leave you spellbound. The unexpected perks you might not consider. Beyond the obvious benefits, clubs offer some surprising advantages. Built-in motivation. It's easier to walk on rainy days when you know the group's counting on you. Natural tech support. Can't figure out your new smartphone? The photography club's 16-year-old volunteer instructor will show you intergenerational magic. Many community gardens and music groups blend ages. Nothing keeps you feeling young like trading tips with a 25-year-old tomato grower. Legacy building? That quilt you're making in the sewing circle? It might become a great-grandchild's most treasured heirloom. How to take the first step without overwhelming yourself. If you're ready to dip your toes in, here's how to start smart. Make it easy on yourself. Choose something within 15 minutes of home. Opt for daytime meetings, no driving at night. Start with once-a-month commitments if weekly feels daunting. Leverage your existing interests. Always loved flowers? Try a garden club. Enjoy crossword puzzles? Look for a brain games group. Like puttering in the kitchen, many communities have slow cooking clubs. Bring a buddy. Recruit a neighbor or relative to join you the first time. No takers? Many groups have ambassadors who'll meet you at the door. Give it 3 tries. First visit, everyone feels awkward. Second visit, names start sticking. Third visit, you're part of the furniture. When clubs become lifelines. During the pandemic, something remarkable happened at a senior center in Ohio. Their usual chair yoga group moved to Zoom, and attendance tripled. Why? Because for isolated seniors, that weekly screen full of familiar faces became an anchor. They weren't just doing downward dog together. They were checking on each other, celebrating birthdays through screens, and creating a rhythm when the world felt untethered. This is the profound truth about finding your group later in life. It becomes more than an activity. It becomes proof that you're not alone, that your presence matters, and that there are still mornings when you'll wake up thinking, I can't miss today. They're counting on me. Your invitation to a fuller life. So here's what I want you to picture. It's a regular Thursday morning 6 months from now. You're lacing up your walking shoes, or packing your latest crochet project, or dog-earing a book passage you can't wait to discuss. There's a lightness in your step that wasn't there before, not because your problems have vanished, but because your world has expanded. The friends you've made in this group? They know which grandchild just started college, which knee gives you trouble when it rains, and how you take your tea. They've seen you master new skills and laugh at your own mistakes. And somehow, through all those ordinary moments stacked together, something extraordinary has happened. You've built a new version of home, not in a place, but in a community. The poet Mary Oliver once asked, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" At 70, 80, or beyond, that question still applies, maybe now more than ever, because this chapter isn't about winding down, it's about opening up. Every club you join, every connection you make, every new skill you try is your answer to that question. So why not start this week? Look up one local group, make one phone call, attend one meeting. However small the step seems, it's the beginning of something that could reshape your days in ways you can't yet imagine. And when you do, come back and tell us about it in the comments. I'd love to hear which group you tried, and more importantly, how it made you feel. If this resonated with you, pay it forward. Share it with a friend who might need that nudge too. And if you're not already part of our community here, hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more conversations like this coming your way. Here's to your next great adventure, and to all the wonderful people you haven't met yet, but soon will. After all, the best chapters are often the ones we never saw coming.